Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of Smells Like Cappy with Handsome. I'm your host, Charles Weinraub, a.k.a. the Handsome Homebuyer, a.k.a. Captain Permit, a.k.a. I'm on my mother's shit list because of that Valentine's Day video from yesterday. But the good news is, can we get a close-up of Emily over there? Why? Because, yeah, you got it? Because I'm blaming you, and since you're like her daughter, it's going to take the heat off of me, and I appreciate you doing that for me. Thank you.
I want to see your house barrel.
And to be fair with me, Mom, if you're listening to this right now, I just show up. I don't want to stunt anyone's creativity. They said, get in this pool with your shirt off and say what we tell you to say. So that's what I did. The good news is I got 3 deals off of that. So sometimes the end justifies the means.
Justifies the means,
right?
Yeah. The ends justify the means.
The ends justify the means. All right, so obviously you have a house. I'm trying to buy 200 this year, so I'd appreciate a little help. 516-777 sold. Obviously, if you have a permit problem, we got the captain here. Captain!
He's having lunch.
He's hard at work taking care of everybody's permits. That's why he can't yell back to me. 516-513-8838. We got the team down there. Mike Arado leading the team. It's a battle every day, right? It's a permit battle.
It's tough. That's
day.
why I get you guys on.
Every day.
I don't deal with that.
I appreciate the love.
Yeah.
I never realized how smooth you were.
Smooth?
Yeah, you're a smooth operator. You're smooth.
I'm laid back a little bit. Yeah, I'm laid back.
You stroll in here.
I try to keep, being in this industry, you have to kind of bring everybody up, bring everybody down a little bit. Because they're either upset or they're too happy. So you got to bring them down.
Does he ever get upset? Like, have you seen him wound up?
Yes, today, actually.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't blame him. Like, some of these people are hard to deal with, you know?
Like, I am wound up. Can we say I'm wound up?
Yeah.
You stroll in looking like the Puerto Rican Justin Timberlake. Like, I'm ready for you to just whip out a ballad. Empanadas, smelling good.
That's the first for me.
Usually it's Vin Diesel.
Oh, yeah?
I get the Diesel a lot, yeah.
All right. Either way, you're in good company, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the love and the compliments.
So we got to give the backstory. This is the backstory. So, like, I've been in this business for 6 years. This is my 7th year. And when I first got into it, like most investors, I'm like, REOs are where it's at. Mm-hmm. And this was closer to when the crash had happened.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to buy REOs. REOs are where it's at. So you worked at Cruise and you were a legend. Like, you don't know that. You might not know that.
I don't know that.
But I remember you being a legend. It was like, yo, Joe Saldana, like, he's the man. He's super smooth. He sells a ton of properties, blah, blah, blah. So I remember I was like, I pull up to this particular property and you were out there looking smooth. And there was like 300 people there. And obviously I didn't get the house. But I remember, I just remember the aura, the legend that was you at the time. Like, you were the REO guy.
So you saw me at work?
I saw you at work.
I don't remember that day. There was so many days like that. And I'm sorry that I don't remember you. I don't remember you being there.
I'm not offended. Yeah. I'm not offended. The point is, we come full circle, and we're here now. And I remember, like, what do you think? And you're just like, there's like 30 offers on this thing, over ask. Like, it was just, it was madness at the time.
Absolutely. It was crazy. We would sell 40, 50 houses a month.
Yeah.
And do about 1,000 BPOs a month. It was insane, and it was a short time. It really wasn't that. It was from 7 to like
1,000 BPOs a month.
Yeah.
So this.
He had Mike Kenduk. He's the owner of Cruise Real Estate. He had about maybe always 5 to 7 people just doing BPOs.
Yeah.
That was the labor behind getting these listings, and there was always an average of 500 properties just in different stages. At one time.
I want to talk about the REO world for a second.
Yeah.
2-prong, right? Investors always think REOs are where it's at. Mm-hmm. And agents and brokers always think, I want to be an REO broker, I want to be an REO agent.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
It is.
It's a lot of work. So, like, if all you're doing is REOs and let's say COVID hits, you're not doing anything.
Not doing anything, no.
So, being at the top, if one of the top, if not the top brokerage at the time for REOs, give kind of like your backstory on the industry and what you think.
Well, I started out in the mortgage industry from 2000 to 2007 when everything went to shit. I lost the mortgage company. And I went and I did something that everyone thought I was crazy doing, and getting my real estate license. So I did that. And in 2008 I started I actually started with Century 21. I was there for like maybe 30 days. And then I started working with guys at Cruise. And they brought me on because really of my mortgage background, I understood the 203Ks, how to do it on the finance side of it.
That was like 10 years ago? Was that 10 years ago when you were there?
That was in 08, yeah, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. When did you ended up,
years.
and you were there until when? When did you leave?
I was there till 2012.
Okay.
Around 12, where then I started my own company.
Yeah.
But that time there, I learned the business backwards. I didn't know anything about traditional real estate. And everyone had a set area. Like all the agents had a specific area, except me, because I was one of the last ones that came in. I was the hybrid. So I sold the REOs, but I also worked the buyers because those listings brought in thousands of buyers that no one was doing anything with. Okay. So that house would get one offer, one buyer, but then now you have all these other 30 other buyers. Like, what are we doing with it? So I took them from just a distressed foreclosure shop to a full service real estate company.
So touch on that for a second, because that's super important, because you have a lot of agents that are paying big money, let's say for Zillow leads, or they're in offices like REO shops or whatever where their leads coming in. Some of them don't want to work with buyers, or more importantly, a lot of them don't know how to convert the buyer calls into clients.
Yeah.
So like talk about how you did that.
Yeah, you have to learn how to convert that buyer because they're in the market, they're buying. It's like a car salesman, they're on the lot. They're gonna buy something. So you just have to, when it comes to buyers, you have to relate to them. You gotta be on the same level with them. They gotta trust you. Everyone loves to buy shit. They don't want to be sold. Right?
That's interesting.
So they don't want to be sold. She wants to buy a purse or Louis. She knows she wants to buy it, but when you try to sell someone, they kind of put up a wall. So you have to be able to break that wall down and communicate with them and be at the same level, understand their needs so that you know what they're looking for, what their wants are, what their needs are.
So take us through a little bit how you used to do that. Because like, you're a guy on the phone. Like, you see you meet you, different.
Yeah.
You're just a voice on the phone. And they're like, I want to buy that house for, $149 when you know it's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's going to get bid over or whatever the situation is. How are you converting that person to a viable buyer, and like kind of what percentage of those people ended up really working out? Just so like agents kind of get it. Because I tell agents all the time, like agents will complain about Zillow or whatever. Yeah. And I'll just say, the only thing, it's their job, marketing's job to get the phone to ring.
Correct.
Once the phone rings, you got to convert that into a buyer. That person really wants to buy a house.
Absolutely.
How do you
want to buy a house.
How do you do it?
So in that particular case, they were calling on a property, whatever property it was. So they call me up, I go through it and see how you buying this house. Do you have cash? Are you doing a mortgage? What are you doing? Are you buying with cash? Are you buying with a mortgage? So you kind of give them that, cash. If they are, then it's yes, I'm buying in cash. All right, great. That's the first step.
Got it.
If you're buying with which is not a bad thing, if you're getting a mortgage, then I educate them on the mortgage part.
Yeah.
This is the type of mortgage that you need to purchase this house.
Yeah.
And your competition is the investor. So you will have to offer more than the investor that's offering cash and that can close quickly. We can compete with a 2 or 3K loan, but we got to start that process.
So to stop you there, talk about the 203K process, because first of all, at that time, like I feel like now the 203K process is tough without the right team. At that time, the 203K was really new, and a lot of lenders didn't know how to do it. Even today, a lot of lenders don't know how to do it.
The only one that was able to do it was Wells Fargo, and Quentin Hardy was the best. He was the best at it. Wells Fargo, and there was a couple of loan officers, but it was Wells Fargo. They had the best product.
Okay.
But then they went to shit. Then, it turned into, it was great, and then it wasn't great anymore. So it's the bankers now, they can do it, like a Cliffco or, a Contour, they have their 2 or 3Ks. But once you start educating the buyers to that part of it, a lot of them got discouraged.
Why? Just because it just seems overwhelming?
Because it's like, wait a second, I got to get a loan. I got to buy it as is. I have to get a loan. Is it 2 loans? Is it 1 loan?
Yeah.
So you explain that part. So I have to buy it, and then I got to renovate it. I got to get a contractor. You got to make sure that if it's a short K or a long K, if it's under 35 or over 35,000, once you really give them all that information.
Oh, you really know this stuff.
9 out of 10 of them they don't even move any further. Oh no, forget it.
It's overwhelming.
All right, so I have an approval for 500,000. Okay, And then we start looking for a house that's done for 500,000, whatever. I mean, back then it wasn't 500,000.
Yeah.
It was maybe 300 or 350. But the education, and at the same time, what you're doing is that you're building that repertoire, you're building that relationship. Like, wait a second, I just got a guy here that knows his stuff. I'm gonna stick with him. I'm gonna, look with it. And then if you're not approved yet, we get the approval done, and we just kind of take it from there. I sold more outside properties, co-broked more than I sold in-house with crews.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's better. And I think kind of like, I'm curious to know your take on this because you've been around a long time. I have not been around as long. But for me, I feel like over the last 3 years, there's been more of like a collaborative effort where people in residential real estate are working together. It's a lot more like friendly. Whereas before it was very much like everything close to the vest. Things are changing.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the agent that knows what they're doing. That's what's happening. Like, we really appreciate working with, an Aaron Bates or, or someone that I know, hey, no matter what, like even you with your properties, you'd rather work with an agent that knows what they're doing
100%.
than someone that's like totally new. If he comes up and says something that kind of triggers you, like, wait a second, this guy really doesn't know what he's doing. You're not going to go with that offer. You're going to be afraid to move forward. No. It's the same way. I'd rather work with an agent that is experienced where we can get it done. I don't mind teaching someone, but don't you can't fake it. Don't take that approach being a new agent. You're better off just having a conversation with that broker and saying, or whoever it is, hey, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. But we appreciate an agent that really knows what they're doing. Yes, absolutely. More than ever now.
Do you feel like there's a certain level of like, the level of professionalism in the real estate industry is growing, like the bar is being raised? Agents are more informed, they're conducting themselves in a more professional manner, or you think it's just I just feel like things are getting better. I just feel like it's a more like kind of cohesive, we're all here to help each other type of environment. As a whole, there's always like one-offs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a small percentage of us, and we do, it is more professional. Yeah. We're doing more. We have to do more because technology is kind of forcing us to do that, or they forced us to do that, to do more. When they say, oh, I can use anyone to look for properties. No, you don't need anyone to look for properties. You can go online and have access to all different sites and platforms to look at properties. Is after that. You need your realtor after that part, from looking to showings. After that is where the value comes in, and you have to be able to, reflect that and do that and, conduct yourself that way.
So you ultimately you left Cruise and you opened up your own shop. Now you're out of Bethpage.
Yeah, and just to go back to, because I know you wanted to touch on the intake, the buyer intake, and doing that and converting. So it's you have to be able to, and there are buyers that just want one thing from you, right? They don't want to work with you. They're just calling listing agents, let's say, a buyer like that. If they're combative, then they don't want to answer your questions, as a realtor, they don't want to answer your questions, you just let them go. Yeah. You don't want to work with that person. They're just going to drain you, and just kind of try to end that conversation as soon as possible. But there's a lot of people out there that want to work with a real estate agent. Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Of course. Ask go down to the minute family, kids, school district, what exactly it is that they're looking for, what they want, what the outcome they want. And that's how you able to convert that buyer from an REO. And the best, Zillow has leads that come through foreclosed homes. They're not really they're not foreclosed, they're in foreclosure, they're not on the market. Yeah. Those are the best leads. If you take those leads and you can convert them, you can really spend minimal and get more with those leads if you're able to convert them.
That's interesting. Again, all marketing, the whole point of me laying in a pool of garbage is to get the phone to ring. Yeah. Once the phone rings, that's on us.
Correct.
That's totally on us. So
so Cruise, we went. I was there. I started. I met my partner there.
I want to talk about one other thing first, as far as so the qualification phase. I think this is really important as well. I've done business with you. Like, you've called me and been like, I have a buyer, and I'm like, we're going to do this because I know it's going to be smooth. And you handle yourself as professional as somebody can be. I think agents also need to understand that when bringing in these leads, there's a qualification period where you have to ask very specific questions.
Yeah.
You have to make sure, like, you're the conductor in this orchestra of buying a house.
Correct.
You have to make sure that they're pre-approved, that they're working with the right people. Talk about how you know, ironically, somebody else that does that very well is Femi Adebanjo, who's going to be coming on with his son. So it's very cool that, like, now the next generation is coming up.
Yeah.
But talk about how you structure your team and bring the buyers into this team so that they have a better shot at getting accepted offers.
I get them prepared with the best. You know, if I try, you know, some of them have their approvals. I'll vet it. I'll make sure. You know, I'll make sure that it's legit. It's not just, you didn't just call somebody and they just took a verbal information from you and just spit out this approval. Did you submit your docs? You know, that's the question. Yes, I'm approved. Great. Let me see it. Check it out. Make sure it's legit. Make the phone call to the banker and just really make sure that they're approved for what it says. Because when you go out there and you start showing houses, first of all, you can't even show a house now without an approval.
Yeah.
So you're showing a house, you're submitting your offer. You don't want to get caught where it's like, wait a second, and start working backwards. Where it's like, hey, the approval is not legit. They're not really, you know, putting down 10, they're putting down 3.5, whatever it is. You want to be prepared with that information and make sure that that buyer is equipped with the right banker and the right approval.
Got it. No, it makes sense. And a lot of agents are afraid to ask those tough questions because they don't want to scare away people. But I would argue that, like, if you don't, you're wasting your time.
A real buyer is going to appreciate those questions.
Without a doubt.
Someone that's really looking and that's been out there looking, especially now, you need to have someone that's on your side, someone that's out there that's, you know, that's matching you for effort. And I get a lot of clients that way because the other realtor didn't do that. You know, they weren't there. They didn't you know, communicate with them. You know, things didn't go well because of a mistake, and it's not maliciously or you know, on purpose. Is that they're only thinking of that check? They're only thinking of the money. Well,
keep taking us down the path on how you ended up in your own shop and where you are now, because I want to ask you a bunch of questions about the transition, but I want you to
I met my partner there at Cruise. Well, I didn't meet him at Cruise. He kind of folded into my team. We became partners. We started in 2012. Again, went from Cruise, we went to Century 21 for like 6 months. We were doing a ton of short sales at that time, all zombie homes. Yeah. At that time, that was our pipeline. We had 30, 40 just zombie homes in our pipeline all the time. We were there for a little bit. We saw it was kind of, great company, American Homes. Tom and Mike are great guys. That model just wasn't working for us at that time. So then we went independent. We opened up our own shop. My office now in Bethpage, that's the same office. Okay. So we were there. We got there in 2012, or 13, because we were building it out. I've been there ever since. And in 2019, we split up. I'm the sole owner of the company. It was a struggle. 19 was tough. Was tough for me. You know, it wasn't as tough as, like, you know, between 07 and 10 in that range. But it was tough, and then COVID hit in 2020.
So, talk about the transition.
And we bought the franchise in 19.
So talk about the transition, right? Because in any industry, like, it's one thing to be a real estate agent. It's another thing to be a broker. It's one thing to be a guy that's an amazing plumber, own a plumbing company. So you know, and for every industry. Yeah. So talk a little bit about, because I think a lot of agents are out there and just like, I'm going to become a broker. I'm going to become a broker. Yeah. But when you're a broker, I would argue that you're a lot more in the business of training and cultivating and recruiting agents than you are actually selling real estate. So you might do that as well, but, like, you're wearing different hats. Correct. And they're different skill sets, and not everybody has them. 100%.
100%. That's a great question, because it was a really, you know, that was part of mine. You know, 19 to 20, and, you know, that time period, just because we were, you know, it wasn't just me. We had different duties which kind of blended in, and on top of that, just being a licensed real estate salesperson and a broker, owning, because you could be an associate broker under a company and I have those responsibilities, but as an owner broker, yes, I wear many hats, and you have to be able to get it to a certain point and then scale and get people to come in to help out, which that's where we are now. We just hired someone in the office.
Yeah.
We got the social media stuff going on with,
Nice.
with a third party.
It's a good feeling, isn't
And
it? Growth?
it is a very good feeling.
It's a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, and I like the organic growth. You know, is you always get me. I don't have someone that's in between me and my people. You know, I'm always available. It has to be that way. They call me all the time because that's what a broker is, supposed to do. They're supposed to be available for their agents. It's very important because, especially when they're first coming up, the first year, the first 2 years, it's brutal for them.
Yeah.
It's brutal, and I've been there. So I think part of it for me is that I had tough years in the beginning, so I can really relate to an agent that's just coming up, and there's a lot of things that when you become a real estate agent, or in any business, I'm sure, you don't want to admit to people, right? So that you don't come across as not as experienced, of knowing less than the next. Like, you got to kind of like almost, you got to have like a fake it till you make it mentality, but you do have to learn things because you're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
So it is now I'm in a position where it's a little bit easier for me because I've been doing it on the broker side, the owner broker side. But you have to, the most important thing is giving these agents the best opportunity possible.
Yeah.
Like, really giving them every shot possible. And that's what I try to do, like really just elevate them and just do everything that I can do to make sure they're successful.
So speaking of wearing different hats, you're also a father.
Yes.
Of how many?
3. I have 2 sons and a daughter.
Man, be honest with me right now.
Yeah,
I
it
know
feels like 3 sons, but.
Are boys easier than girls?
Boys easier than girls, yes. 100%. 100%.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't blame them.
But you know what? Good things don't come easy, right? There's,
listen.
there's a price to every good thing.
There you go.
So I'm willing to pay that price to deal with her.
So you're working with Gabriella now, which is very cool. So it's very cool. It's a little sad that we're old enough that we're at the age where we
I
can
know.
have kids that are adults. How old are you?
23.
23. How long you been in the business for?
A year.
What do you think?
I love it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Working with your dad is very cool. Like, I got to work with my dad in the body shop business, and I still work with him now, which is very cool. So it's nice to be able to spend that time. You really appreciate it later.
Yeah.
But how's but also at times, like, my dad and I are like, you
Yeah.
guys seem to have a pretty good, as you're making that face, mutual respect. How is the dynamic working father-daughter?
I mean, the respect is always there. I think the arguments are behind closed doors. Like, we never,
Yeah.
that's cool.
we don't air our dirty laundry.
That's cool. Listen, in public, like, there was an episode of Billions. I don't have a TV, but I did see this one thing where he, what's the guy? Joey Axelrod?
Axelrod.
He says to the, have you ever watched that show?
Yes.
He says
I gotta
to the-
catch up, but I'll watch it.
This is literally the only clip I've ever seen of the show. He says to the psychologist that works with him,
Okay.
he's like, I knew that we were in this together for life because in the face of the world, you were loyal to me, but behind closed doors, you told me the truth and you held me accountable.
Yes.
And that's,
She'll tell me shit sometimes. I'll be like, what?
It's got to be interesting too, because you're like, I remember you, like, I was holding you like this, and now you're telling me, like, no, this is how we're
Yeah.
going to do business. So that's got to be a very interesting.
Yes.
Plus, the younger generation, how do I say this? So there's a point, you're very young, but I feel like there's a point in every person's life, you probably went through this with your parents, where your parents' reality is not your reality, and even though your parents were kind of like, were your idols, and everything they said you respected and took as gospel, there comes to a point where you realize, like, they're not always right, and it's your time to go out on your own, because the world that you're growing up in is not the world that they grew up in.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that has to be like an interesting thing where it flips, where you're learning from her and she's learning from you.
Absolutely. I'm always a student. I love learning, so and I do learn from her and her demographic, and millennials. They're a whole different breed. They're a big part of the housing market.
Are you a millennial? Are you younger? What's that thing that comes after millennial?
No, she's.
I'm just at the cutoff. I'm 98.
Of
Young
millennial and Gen Z?
Yeah. I don't know.
Gen Z Gen Z is the one. Is Justin.
Yeah, so I'm a millennial, I think.
Yeah, you are. You are.
You still got all your hair though, bro.
Not really.
No,
I
you're
got
good.
some. Yeah, no, I got some patches and shit.
have-
I just shave it off. You know,
You're
I
not gonna
can't-
get any hair sympathy from me.
I don't have any. I haven't had the patience to sit in a barber shop in years. One day, and it was funny because I don't know we get off the thing, but she comes home. I decided I'm just gonna shave my head.
He used
I'm
to have like
just gonna keep it shaved.
curly, dark hair.
How old were you? Maybe like 10?
Yeah, probably like 10.
She walks in and she starts bawling.
Because he shaved his head.
She starts crying.
It was to this
Yeah,
day, it's
it
a
was a
traumatic
shocker.
experience.
Yeah, I remember it so
You're
vividly.
like, who are you? You look so different.
Yeah. I was like, why'd you do that?
So now you guys you're growing, you're bringing in social media, which is very cool because a lot of brokers aren't. In my opinion, that's really like the next level. That's how you bring in the agents, you help them grow, and you ultimately market.
Correct.
And that's really how like the agents actually inadvertently, by you helping them market, end up marketing you, which leads to just bringing in more people. So I think that really the thing that's lacking with a lot of agents, to your point that you've touched on, is the support and the training and like the genuine care. Like a lot of places you go, you're a number.
Yeah.
Right. But with you guys, like you're not. And
No.
it's obviously a family-owned operation. You guys are right in the heart of Bethpage. Which Bethpage has like a real kind of family atmosphere to it.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah, it's a very family-oriented community, and the surrounding towns as well. You know, you have Levittown, Wantor, Seaford all around us, so it's a really nice community. Absolutely.
Talk about kind of like what you're doing or your approach to helping agents achieve really whatever their particular goals are, whether that's 10 houses a year, 50 houses a year, whatever it is.
Yeah, we get right to it. We get them working right away. It's on-the-job training. There's training that we'll do, and they always ask you about training. And yeah, listen, there's so much training out there. That's not the issue. That's not a problem. We can get the training. It's what you're going to use. You're going to use the training, and are you going to there's a level of where there's some of these brokerages are just killing you with training, but they're not actually using it.
Yeah.
So I get precise. We do one-on-one for at least. Like I'm at least as long as it takes, but as long as I see progress. But for the first few months, we're close. We're working, together. It's something as simple as knowing how to open up a lockbox, to submitting offers.
Wow.
To listing presentations. Yesterday we were on the phone. We were calling the prospects back. So there's, we're doing it. That's the best training. Is actually doing it. And I try to get them, but it takes them at least 3 months to, even if you get someone today, you're not going to see a check for another 3 months, at least minimal.
Without a doubt.
So we're working with, most of the time is buyers, because that's what's out there. That's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
That's how you start. And, the main thing is just getting them working, right away, and using the tools that are out there for us. And just kind of just being there to just answer their questions, as many times as they ask them, and whatever it is that they're looking to do. Like I had a conversation with our newer agents, and I asked her, I said, what's your goal? Like, what do you see yourself? I know there was something that triggered you getting your license, and then, and what do you see yourself in this industry? Like, what do you see where you're like, okay, I'm successful. This is what I wanted to do. And she told me a story about her and her grandmother used to watch The Sunset. What's the name of that show?
Selling Sunset.
Selling Sunset.
Yeah, do you know how many
That
people
was
got
their
into real
favorite.
estate over Selling
That was
Sunset?
their favorite show.
Right.
Her and her grandmother, and
Yeah.
her grandmother just passed away like 2 months ago. So I was like, but she said, you know what? She saw me get my license.
That's cool.
So I'm like, all right, so we're gonna do that. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get you to that, to that point. And that's the way we do it. Because everyone has their own personal reason, and their own personal vision. And we're gonna do that with social media. The best way to do it is with social media. To get it out there, getting your name out there, when you first start out, is your friends and families. That's where the first deal comes from.
Of course.
So you want to that's the first thing you should do, is just attack that, besides anything else that we give you as an office.
What are some of the things, or one of the things, whatever you want, like that you look up to and you respect about your father when you see him working in a business setting?
I don't know. I feel like just growing up, I've seen like how much he's grown, like kind of from like a daughter perspective, but an outsider perspective as well. but I never thought I would be like working with him. So working with him, I'm like, oh my God, he actually puts in like a lot more work than I thought that he did, you know?
Yeah.
And then watching him.
Yeah, no, you don't realize, because when you're a kid, you don't realize, but as you get older, you're like,
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why
Well,
isn't
when
he
you do
home
it-
today? Like, you know,
this is what
stuff
keeps
like
the lights
that.
on. This is what
Yeah.
does it.
Exactly. It's not like he's
Correct.
working a 9 to 5 or he's getting paid like no matter what. Like, he's getting paid because he's putting the work in, you know?
Yeah.
And then seeing him with our agents is good too, because it's not just me who he's,
Yeah.
you know, training and everything. Like, he's taking the time for each and every one of them, whether they're my age or older than him, you know?
So-
that's big.
You obviously, you could have done anything.
Yeah.
What made you do this?
So I went to college. I went to Marist in Poughkeepsie for 3 years. So 2020, was my graduating year. I did communications,
COVID.
and then January 2020, I had an internship in the city. I did fashion PR. I like
Okay.
loved it, doing New York Fashion Week. I was like, this is my thing. Like, I'm gonna be doing this forever. I'm gonna live in the city in the summer. And then whatever, COVID hit, and I'm like, okay, I guess not.
Psych!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was home for the rest of the semester. Never went back to school. Like, I graduated like virtually, not like
Yeah.
a legit thing. I always knew I was gonna get my license just cause him,
It's like,
but
in the,
like
it's in the blood.
yeah, but just like a side hustle, never anything crazy. Yeah, and then I ended up I started the course summer 2020. Just like slowly did it. And then January 2021, I got my license. And then I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. Started slowly, and then it just like
Goes.
skyrocketed.
And now you're a team.
It was, you know what? It was just it's the silver lining with all this COVID stuff, you know.
A lot of
Because-
cool stuff came out of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you hate to say that when people lost their lives and whatnot, but like
No,
COVID really
yeah.
changed a lot of things for the better.
Yes. You have to look at the good stuff. That for us, it was that she was already helping me out in the office doing office stuff.
Yeah.
So we were like, just get your license, and it was still, if it comes back, send in your resumes. I didn't want to stop her from doing what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it just worked out for us. I'm very grateful because it really helped just the business itself. It helped us tremendously.
Of course. So as kind of like as a wrap up, give me a proud dad work moment.
A proud dad work moment.
Just like like a moment or where you were just like that's my daughter. We're like doing this. She's like
Yes,
closing
yes.
deals. Like we're taking over Betpage.
Well, for me is, and I tell all my agents this: you have to have confidence. When you work clients, you have to ooze confidence, because they're looking at you for direction. They're looking at you for, this is the biggest purchase of their life. So
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're doing, or if you come across like you don't know what you're doing, or you come across without any confidence in what you're doing, then you're gonna lose those people, you know. So when I look at her, she has that confidence. You know, there was a moment when she was showing, and you know, I didn't say anything. You know, the lockbox is always an issue. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of.
That's my biggest downfall, the lockbox.
I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of agents that have that issue, but she was a champ. She went, she was showing it. I think it was doing the snow. The lockbox was in the back, no problem. She went back there, she did her thing, she came back. It was flawless, you know, doing all these obstacles, you know. And she kept her confidence, she kept her cool, and just watching her, just having the confidence with the clients, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
That makes me proud. That makes me proud. Yeah.
Strut.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
And
That's
I can,
dope.
and I can count on her. I can count on her, and she's one of the agents, but she's also my daughter, yes, and she's, you know, she takes charge. You know, she helps me with the agents as well, you know, because it's tough. Like you say, you're wearing that hat, but you have all the business you got to take care of. But I don't want to, you know, I don't want to cut your time short at the same time. So she helps me out in that, where I can be with them, and then she can kind of come in and take over a little bit while I take care of some, you know, some stuff, some more important
No,
things.
that's awesome, man. It is.
Yeah.
So, and listen, I really appreciate you guys coming down. Thank you for the empanadas. You're always
Oh,
a gentleman and a pleasure to work with.
Yep. Hopefully we can do more. You know?
If there are agents out there that, you know, like what they hear and are looking to relocate,
Absolutely.
or if obviously there are people looking to buy or sell anywhere on Long Island, but especially out of the Bethpage area, how do they get in touch with you guys?
It's Joseph Saldana. That's my name. Next Home Revere is the company. You have Instagram, Saldana Homes. My email address is joseph@saldanahometeam.com. 516-457-3927. Gabby what's your Instagram?
G Saldana Homes, and I'm 516-406-0911.
What's up? I'm handsome. You know, if you have a house that smells like Cappy, dated from the 1960s, I finally got it right with the right camera. 516-777
You're hogging
sold.
on my camera.
That's a wrap.
El judío
Maravilloso.
maravilloso. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.